Hello everyone, how's it going today? Back to do a little more texturing and showing some updates to this Alien CV. It's been slow going, um, trying to get all this done, but I've finished off some more areas here, and I'm kind of working my way around the ship, and I did a little bit up on the top area as well, trying to get the look and the textures going. Um, Believe it or not, though, I mean, it's very slow, and I've been kind of reluctant to do a video on it. I kind of recorded some, but it's been taking so long, it's going to be very boring to watch. Um, but I just wanted to show you kind of what I'm doing. So I got this section here, which is untextured. I figured I'd try to, well, mostly untextured. Try to go through real quick and show you what I'm doing to each little part of this ship. Um, so over here, when I just did this area about 20 minutes ago, and I actually ended up taking about an hour and a half, and I recorded all of it, but man, that's slow. It's slow. I changed a lot of blocks. I added in some pipes. I wouldn't say this is finalized yet because what I'm looking at is uh, repetitiveness and where I have texture lights and where I don't. And I'm trying to get a nice blend where I don't have too much, but I have enough. So I don't want it to look like a Christmas tree. And it is a little bit up on the top part right now. And I think I got a little bit too much texture lights, and they're a little random, I guess. Um, I don't mind it, but I think it needs more up there yet, and I'm not sure what I want to do with that. But figured I'd try to get this little chunk over here textured up and kind of show you what I'm doing to accomplish that. Now, a lot of parts of this ship are using a lot of angles, and because of that, nothing really textures well on these angles. There's three different sets of the angles, and some of them are terrible. Like for instance, this set of blocks here, not only do they not align correctly, every other block has a different texture alignment. So I was experimenting, trying to come up with a pattern so I could give it some kind of definition in those areas. On this side over here, though, it's not going to be so bad because they're all pretty much straight blocks. So here, I'm going to get started with this and show you the way I'm doing it. First, I've got these inset lines, and that's kind of neat. I like to do that with the geometry, especially with this race, so I can have opportunities to add extra detail. So what I've been doing a lot of times is kind of looking at these and maybe doing a full, um, a full like a row of textures, or break it up. Like in this case, I'm thinking about breaking it up so every other surface is, say, that vent or this particular texture here, which kind of works out in this case. Yeah, something like that. And I want to get a little bit of lights in here, but I don't want it too overpowering. So I found this texture to work kind of nice, and what I really like about this texture for the aliens is the fact that when I color it, it doesn't color the whole texture, it only colors the texture lights and leaves the rest of it pretty much black, which is appropriate for what I'm trying to do with this. So we started with that. Now on the inset lines here, I was thinking just to give it a little bit of contrast, I've been actually using this floor tiling, and once it's colored in the darker tones, it kind of blends in pretty good. try to just go over these areas here and get that part done. Not sure if I want to have the same texture on the edges of the round over there though. Might get these two, I guess. Because I'm using so few textures with the alien race, I have to compensate for that using a lot of different color things, and sometimes I just do different colors to break up rows of lines. I'm not totally happy with like what I'm seeing over here at this time. I think it's a little too drab, so I keep on trying to look at it and think of ways to enhance it through the use of textures, decals, deco pieces, or the blocks themselves. Anything goes, really. Now, one thing, like I just threw this texture over here, then I realized, hey, I just ran 3 of those same textures down below. And that's something I try to avoid to do, is not to have too much of the same in one particular area. So I'm going to reconsider this texture and go with something else that I'm using with the race, like a vent over here instead. So it looks a little different from the other part. Now in the round part here, I'm not sure what to put there yet. And there's only so many textures I'm actually using with this. So I'll try something like that for now and see how that works out. Probably hit the rest of these the same way. As in the pipes, I've typically been using this texture for the base pipes. The only problem I've got with that is I'm using that texture right below it. I don't want it to look too much like it's the same. So maybe I'll go with this weird one, which I typically never used before on the other race. What I like about it is the lines here. What I don't like about it is the weird line there. And if you ever use this particular texture, you notice that it lines up terribly with itself. The only time it actually does work is at a certain angle, like this angle here, it does line up. But if you try to do it like on a flat area, like over here, oh wow, man, it just loves to prove me wrong. I swear, every time I've tried to do this before, it always was misaligned. Huh. Alright, well, live and learn. But yeah, I actually don't want that texture there, I don't think. Unless it lines up here too. And it does. Wow. Wow. How is that possible? Alright. Well, maybe I will try that for now. Over there. Once it's colored, it looks way, way different than what it does not colored. Nope, not that. And then I'm trying to mix it up, and I'll throw in even like some of this carpet texture in there. And the carpet texture has a neat look where if you get it to the right color, it kind of looks like a matte finish rather than a gloss finish. And which I don't mind. But a lot of it is making patterns, I guess. Trying to just spice it up with something. And let's see. Okay, so let's use that same other texture here. Keep those kind of uniform, and maybe some more of these vents over here. Oh, and then this over here isn't quite right yet. God, I still don't know if I'm gonna want to keep that. I guess let's color it first and see what it looks like. Oh, and I missed a row over here too. So this is where it becomes more interesting, is a lot to do with the color. Now, I've got a lot of these different purples and grayish purples and things like that, and I've kind of found certain colors I'm using for certain kinds of textures. For instance, this shade here I've been using for a lot of the vents. I think it kind of accents them decently where they're dark and they blend, but they do look a little different than what the regular metal is. Let me hit those a minute. Alright, and then I've been also using that for these particular vents as well. But then the actual metals, or the flat metal, I've been using this tone, and also for that. And so it kind of blends that in pretty good, is where you don't see the seam lines very much at all on it when it's done, but you do see the that there's a different texture there to give it a little bit of an enhancement, I guess. These up a minute. Some ways it's kind of like painting a room. Just kind of doing like the trim and stuff like that. And with this race, though, painting is so important, and these little tone differences, I think, are helping. Took a little while on the Creo gas, which was the first concept of doing the this theme. It took a long time to build that ship and come up with a look that I was happy with. And I probably got about 30 hours into this little SV, and a lot of that was to do with the texturing and colors and stuff like that. A lot of trial and error, trying to get it worked out to the point where I kind of liked it. On this matte texture, I've been using this other tone over here, which is actually, it's hard to tell here, but it's a little bit purple, very, very subtly, kind of like a very dark purple. Oops. Okay, and back to this over here. Well, these are kind of flat and boring right now, and I'm not, maybe I'll try to add something there to make that look better too. And I've been using the same for these. That'd be kind of neat. There was a comment in there saying that the dark looked good with the white, and that was before I textured this chunk over here. And I kind of like the two-tone look too. Kind of like I like it over here as well. The problem I've got with it is it's just out of theme for what everything else is, and I wouldn't want to switch the theme at this point. So that's why I've been kind of coloring all this the darker tones. But the big thing is, I'm not sure how that texture there is going to look colored. I guess it kind of, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm wondering if I shouldn't do something with this part here. Some other texture, maybe. Should I try some lights in there? Give it a whirl. Not sure. Not sure if I like that or not. Maybe it's the purple tone in there. Maybe I should go with the gray. And maybe it's a little too repetitive with those lights over here too. I thought about doing the texture lights on these corners like I did in so many other places on the ship. And maybe that's what it needs there too. Let me try it. But this is why it's taking so long to texture this thing, is because of all these little things, trying to figure out what's going to look good and what doesn't. You know what? Okay, let's do the top row this way, and the bottom row with a little bit enhanced light. You can see when I just switch that too, that the aura around it, if you look at the slightly toned down version, you can kind of see that blue aura there. And when I go to the slightly more intense version, it gets bigger. And I've been doing that on most of these light patterns, where the back row is the duller one, and the front row is a little more intense. Yeah, maybe it comes up with a, I think it helps a little bit. It kind of makes the lights look a little weirder where they're more intense at the edges as opposed to the inside part of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about what I just did here or not. And these pipes too, I would like to find something else to start texturing pipes with that looks decent. Maybe I could get by with something like that. So I've got this nice little lip here by these two thrusters. I'm going to try to enhance that with some kind of texture. Right over the thrusters. Problem I don't like with this texture is the fact that it colors, of course, the whole thing, but from a distance that doesn't look too bad. A little something to look at there. Just not sure on what I did here. First time I tried to use that texture this way for the aliens. Not sure if I'm liking that or not. It lines up well, relatively okay. I guess there's a little bit of issue there, but I don't like those lines in it, the white lines. Yeah, I'll keep that for now. But that's basically how I've been doing this ship, a little chunk at a time. And other tricks I've been trying to do as well is differences in color tones across angled surfaces, like what was done here. And there's just nothing that really textures properly on this stuff. So I'm had to go out of the way to try to find other ways to do it. And by doing tone lines, trying to split that up a little bit, I think helps some. Like, I think, okay, yeah, like that's that color. Looks like I missed that piece there. Where this part here is probably this color. And then I kind of toggled back and forth a few times going across that area to try to give it some kind of definition. And beyond doing that, I have really no idea what to do because texture alignments and stuff are just don't work out very well there at all. And of course, I'm trying to get a little bit of purple into it too. So the tone shades on purple, for instance, let me try to do something here. So I'll go through my set of, actually it's these four. This is I think this is the lightest of the bunch. Yeah. Let me find out here. Okay, so we got that shade, and then it goes to this shade, and then this shade. So that is one option too, to do like color fading in places. In this case, so what I actually would like to do is fade it on these lines. Like for instance, that line is that shade. Oop, that's the darkest. Or this shade. I probably don't want to do that last one. This shade. And I'll probably do some more of this over here. And then this can be dark. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it's just part at a time until keep trying to work it and work it some more and work it some more until eventually I might come up with a look that I think works decent enough. But that color fade there looks a little out of place with the darker tones that are on the rest of the part. So now I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't extend this color range across more of this. And have like maybe a little line here. I don't know if I want to go that far though. I don't know. Guess I don't mind it too bad. Maybe it's a little bit too light of purple, but it kind of does have that weird break up there. You don't really know what's going on. Let me just finish up this last little chunk here and see how it all blends together. Yeah, I don't really like the polygons right there either. See if I can do something about this. Yeah. Well, how about a transition from a round to a angle? Yeah, that's better. And this part over here, also kind of weird. Hey, look, it's a generator. And trust me, that generator's probably not going to stay there. I don't want the generator so close to the surface area. If you happen to know this ship, you'd probably just be like, hey, shoot it right there. Take it out. You don't want to have that happen. So what could I do with this little chunk here, though? I'm wondering, maybe go with something ultra thin. Like this thin piece. Oh, but you know what? There's no thin piece that matches the edge of that. Well, I know. What if I tried that? Another solid. Okay, so that's not angled either. So I wonder if I can mess with this some. And try one of something like this. Going into that. And matching this angle. Could probably work. Don't really like that jaggy edge there, though. I guess it's pretty small and it doesn't stick out too much, but one of those there. well, I'll probably try to enhance this a little bit more somehow. Maybe change some textures around a little bit more again. I guess it sort of has the look I want. I just don't know if it's like super awesome. Maybe too much of the lights, the texture lights in that formation. Might try to drop those out a little bit, or could try to go like every other one, or do something different in the middle. But anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to show you on how I'm trying to texture this alien CV, and it's taken a very, very long time to do this. But eventually I'll find a way that I think I'll like it in the end. Like the bottom part, I mean, it took me a long time to get this where I thought it was decent, especially with these sidelines here. One big thing I had when I first did it, I had this texture light going all the way down to the center and on both sides. And then looking at it, I just thought it was too much. So what I ended up doing is just doing the texture lights in a smaller area that kind of lines up to this side and cuts off right at that point, which, looking at it from a distance, I thought it looked entirely better that way. So I might have to tone down some other areas of the ship that way as well. And this pattern over here, I don't know, it's a little repetitive right now. So I'll have to think about how I want to do that. And over here, I think from looking at it from the top, I think I just got too much texture lights as a whole. Like maybe if it didn't have the side ones or these over here and just had those, I would be okay with that. But I'm trying not to overdo something, especially with the lights. And with the other things I've always built, now the MX-15's kind of a bad example. I kind of refined my formula of doing it since I built that ship almost a year and a half ago now. But a lot of it has to do with, I want things to pop in every little area that you can look at a creation, like something that looks neat and kind of jumps out at your eye. But if you overdo that, then you get in my opinion, kind of a bad effect, because then it's just like, okay, now it's way too lighty, it's got way too much. So it's just trying to find a balance in between having some where it stands out in the right spots and not like just filling in a whole area with texture lights and things like that, just here and there. And here I think it's a little too busy on how many lights I got going on there. So I'll probably tone it down some and remove some or alter some stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you what's going on and how I'm going about texturing this. And I will put out a proper texturing tutorial, probably with the human faction though, because this race is so convoluted on how I'm doing it to come up with this look that it's just I could show you a lot better with the other race, pretty much. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back next week to do some new things. I'm thinking about a couple of ideas and things I wanted to show. Now I haven't got back to the Scarab SHM, and I'm almost half planning on rebuilding this so I can make it right. Try to keep it looking very similar to what it looks like here, but the way I built it, I screwed up, and I think I mentioned that before, and it has to do with the placement of cargo extensions that make up part of the hull on it, and I gotta rethink the way I did that and make it right. But anyway, you all have a good weekend, and hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks a lot.